what it was. It wasn't an airplane. It was not an airplane. It was down off the road.
You're listening to Pursuit of the Paranormal podcast with your hosts, Ash Ellis and Greg Tomlinson.
Good evening, Greg. How's it going?
I'm good, thank you. How are you doing? It seems like we haven't spoke for a little while. There we have.
It does.
And
it does.
We communicate pretty much daily on Messenger. But it feels like we haven't done an episode for a little while for some reason. I don't know why.
It's only been a week. We just feel like it's been a while.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
It's been a long time coming. I don't know what that was.
I don't.
Let's just say I haven't got the voice for singing, so.
Well, yeah.
But no, it's been good to watch the daily videos.
We're like nearly 80 of them now.
I know, 78 went up at the point of this recording. So, but learned loads of stuff, and just researching for the bits, because we do them alternate days, and we've got our spreadsheet that's got alternate days, and I know what date we're on, and then I recorded a load of stuff, and then where I'd not put them in the right order, I'd already recorded what day it was on the video, so I'm having to like either dub the day over the top or change the us. No, they're trying to get organised, and then it all goes to. So.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah, so we did a good tour of Oxford, and it wasn't until we reviewed. Well, we'd put the video up, and I was with Sarah, and she was like, "Oh my god, that glass just moved!" I'm like, what the fuck? What do you mean the glass just moved? And we like slowed it down, and oh my god, that was in the Turf Tavern.
Yeah.
That's a cool little pub. It's like down a little alleyway, and if you didn't know where it was, you wouldn't be able to find it. It's very weird. And we'd done the Bridge of Sighs. I'd done a little video recording over the Bridge of Sighs, which is supposedly haunted, and it's literally down a tiny little alleyway next to it. So it worked out really well. We'd got a map out, and we were like, where else can we go that's haunted? And Oxford's got the rich history. So we was like, oh, we'll have a drink while we're in here. We've done a bit of filming, and yeah, that happened. It was very weird.
It's a strange video. It does look strange.
And we've got the longer, so we use cinematic on the iPhone, which like blurs backgrounds and all sorts. And I'd cropped it down for the TikTok, but then with the video clip, you can take off the cinematic, so it's like a standard video, and I've got a slightly longer version. So before all the shenanigans happen in the video, we've got a couple of extra seconds. And when you look at it, you can see that the table wasn't wet because we just sat down at the table and we'd just got a drink, and the glass next to it didn't move or anything like that, and I didn't even notice it at the time, and it was so weird. And we were looking around, and on the menu it says that there's like a resident ghost, not the one I talked about, but it was a resident ghost in there as well. And it was just, and the pub was packed as well. It's a really busy pub,
Mad.
And it was just really weird. Just really weird. It's just like, what the hell? How did we not notice this glass ever so slightly move? And it looks like it starts to speed up as she grabs it. So it's just. It's weird. And I'll tell you what, the bit of the voiceover where I mention about glasses moving and whatnot, I'd actually recorded that voice before the video clip was done. So we were discussing with the fact that maybe me saying that the glasses moved and people have experienced glasses moved was the prompt for the video, because the video we took a couple of minutes afterwards. But
it could be
very weird. So I've got all the videos. So like I just put the video, like I was just video recording on the table, just talking as like it's a voice recorder, so it wasn't even like filming anything. It's just a blank video of me just talking. But that was before that video was taken, because we were like, let's just do a bit of a fun thing and do about the lady in pink type thing walking around, and weird.
It's mad, like, to even spot that. 'Cause it's such slight. You don't realise, and you think how many things you may have missed to actually even spot that.
That's it.
brief
I hadn't
half
even
a
seen it,
second.
and I'd edited the video. I'd edited it on the phone and on the Mac, so I hadn't even noticed it. It was only when Sarah, it was up on TikTok and she was watching it. She was like, "That glass moved." What the fuck? So it was weird, proper weird. But the
Crazy.
pub didn't feel eerie or anything. It's a nice pub in there.
Mm.
Big shout out to Turf Tavern. But yeah,
Make sure you check it out.
definitely. So I thought we would chat about some stuff that we normally have guests on, don't we? But I thought
They go old school.
we'll go old school. And I think we've just agreed that we're going to do this in like 3 parts. So we're going to talk around assumptions that people have around the paranormal, around UAPs, UFOs, and cryptids.
Yeah.
So we've got a few pointers that we're going to have a chat about on this episode. We've got sort of 5 points that we're going to have a chat about based on our assumptions of the paranormal. We'll have a chat about it, see what you think, see what I think, and discuss it really. And I think it might get people to have a think about the paranormal, UAPs and cryptids in a slightly different way. And you might think, well, actually, yeah, that kind of makes sense. It'll all become clear as we start going through it. But
yeah, and we'd love listeners' thoughts on each of these assumptions that we're going to be talking about. Let us know if you agree with what Greg and I say. If you don't, give us your takes. It's interesting to see what people think about the stuff we talk about today.
And it's also good if there's any assumptions that people have got that we don't discuss. Are there any other bits that crop up? You think, oh, actually, it's this or it's that, or it's. And I think it's a good topic, because we always talk about the paranormal, UAPs, and cryptids, and we're always talking to somebody who's in the paranormal world. We're always talking to somebody who's had paranormal experiences, and everybody we speak to is from the community, as it were. So by us speaking about these other bits, it could be an interesting take and challenge what people think about it. So the first one, we'll talk around the first one. So the first one, the assumption is that paranormal events are real phenomena. Now, I know to everybody it goes on paranormal investigations, got paranormal teams, people who live and breathe the paranormal. We talk about paranormal all the time. We make the assumption that it's all real. Now, this is going to be a potential divisive conversation for a lot of people.
Definitely.
The true believers, the complete skeptics, and whatnot. So, around paranormal events are real phenomena. So, we operate under the assumption that ghosts, spirits, and other anomalies exist. But what if all of it, every EVP, every shadow figure, every personal experience, is either a misinterpretation, psychological bias, or a hoax?
Yeah, I mean, we're kind of saying here that there is no paranormal, that everything that everyone's experienced or the personal experiences can be explained, and like kind of looking at the sort of the assumption that everything can be explained. So I guess we'll kind of, like I said, this probably will be a bit divisive when we talk about it, because people have quite strong beliefs. Let's say,
yes,
people can be quite defensive about their beliefs, which I expect people to be. People have their experiences, and know that they've had their experiences, and sometimes it's hard to be told. Like even if it is a genuine explanation for something, people don't always like to be told that that can be explained, and they'll still take. They'll be like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. But what if? What if? And they always kind of hold on to that what if, and to hold on that there is that tiny chance that it's something paranormal, rather than just accepting, yeah, that's the explanation. That's kind of what happened. That's what caused that. What I perceive to be paranormal.
Exactly, and that's across UAPs and cryptids. It's
Yeah.
a very personal experience, like you said. People have this thing happen to them, and regardless of what it is, that may be not what they think has happened to them. So part of that is a cognitive bias. So we're all into the paranormal, and we've got this confirmation bias basically that you look for evidence that supports paranormal claims and you will dismiss or downplay natural explanations. So, like you just said, people don't want to hear that that orb that's just flown by them was actually a piece of dust. It's an
Yeah.
unclean environment, especially if you're in like an old mansion doing a paranormal investigation that's hundreds of years old. The chances are that that thing you've seen or you captured on your digital camera is a bit of dust.
And like with the confirmation bias, obviously you're always looking for anything to back up, and you'll always take it as kind of that's proof. You know, there could be 10 explanations for what caused that bit of, say, a knock or something like that. You're going to just take that explanation to be paranormal. You just jump straight away, jump to the it's paranormal rather than explain other things. For example, the haunted hotel in Chester, room 5. We've had lots of knocking in there. That's happened to us personally.
Mm-hmm.
So if I was to be in room 5 and something knocks or makes a tapping sound, I'm going to say, oh, that's a spirit knocking. Even in my kind of skeptical view on things, even in that moment, I'm still jumping to it's paranormal. One, because I want it to be paranormal, and two, because we've had stuff happen there before. It's like, oh, it's just more. It's happened again. We couldn't explain it last time. Can't explain it this time. Whereas it could be something could have dropped on the window ledge outside. It could be someone walked on a floorboard 2 rooms away that is connected to a floorboard in that room, and that's what made the tapping noise. Kind of, even ourselves, we do the same thing. It's quite hard not to when we're quite vested in the topic, especially when you're surrounded by people. Because in these groups and group chats and stuff, people kind of feed off each other as well, and the confirmation bias in other people. So one person will say, "Oh yeah, that's an orb," and then because more people in the chat are saying, "Yeah, that looks like an orb," or "We can't explain that," so you start getting even more confirmation bias when you actually think, "Actually, let's have a look at it." But it seems people tend to kind of skip over that, and it's because they want to believe it's kind of not even open. Maybe not purposely. It's not like doing it on purpose to be kind of negative around it. It's just they want it to be that, so they're just kind of ignoring it for now and just kind of playing into that its paranormal aspect.
Yeah, I completely agree. And like, if you're in an environment and something moves or you capture something out of the corner of your eye moving, straight away you'll go, I've just seen a shadow figure. Or rather than, well, actually, there's a road outside, a car may have just gone past, and the light from the car lights may have just caught the edge of the window and caused a little shadow. And I'm sure when I've seen stuff before, I'm sure that's probably
In fact,
what
that
it's
happened
been.
here. You remember that
I
time?
remember, yeah.
And I was like, that doesn't happen. We don't, because we're up on the upper floor and we don't see lights coming in.
Yeah.
But I realised it was sometime afterwards was the road opposite. It was when someone did a U-turn.
Okay.
And that's very rare that happened. There must be like a delivery van or something, did a U-turn and then spun round. And that's the only time when the light sort of came into this room, because usually we don't see any lights in here. That's why it's unusual. It's like, we've never seen any headlights in it. It's not headlights. We don't get them up here. But
No.
that one specific movement for that brief second when car randomly, which never rarely happens, it's a busy road, does a U-turn, it flicked up the light into the room. Well, again, I could have thought, no, it can't be headlights. I've been lived there 4 years and never seen headlights shining in the lounge, but it was once you actually kind of do a bit of more kind of research, let's say, into it.
But you can see why that explanation doesn't always fit with people, because you like you said, you're so invested in it and you want it so badly that it will be what you hope it is rather than maybe what it actually is. So it is an interesting one, and that's not to take away from anything. I've seen stuff, and me and you have seen stuff together that you can't explain, and like that whole table being whacked from underneath in Chester. There was only us in the room. There's no way. But then you could get people go, wow, it could be, and they go, well, it can't be, because I definitely know it could not have been anything.
The bang on the door.
Yeah.
But that was so loud and
It was
so close to us, and it was 100% the door being banged on. There's
100%.
nothing else that could have been, but there's nobody.
Yeah.
Nobody there. Other taps and bangs can be explained with pipes or like floorboards and stuff, but that was, we were literally 2 feet away from the door, and it was too heavy, loud as fuck, bang, wax on that door.
It was savage. So this is not us knocking anything in the paranormal at all, because we've had our experiences for definite. But so based on that confirmation bias, the alternative view of this, that paranormal events are real phenomena, are that everything unexplained is just that, unexplained for now. Science has repeatedly closed gaps where supernatural beliefs once lived. So lightning was always a weird thing, diseases, sleep paralysis, that kind of thing that people didn't understand, and we couldn't get a scientific reason for it. So who knows, like in the future, so you might have discoveries in neurology, psychology, physics that may debunk, I hate that word, paranormal claims entirely. I hope it doesn't.
It's like with UFOs, like if you look at the term UFO, like something in the sky that you just can't explain what it is. It's just unidentified. That's kind of the same thing with the paranormal. The word kind of paranormal is beyond the normal, beyond what we understand. Say UFO, we're not saying UFOs are alien or something unexplained or something spiritual or whatever or supernatural. It's just unidentified. At this moment in time, we don't know what it is. Same with ghosts and stuff like that. There's not really a similar like sort of acronym like UFO, but just the term para is kind of, at this moment in time, we don't know what that is.
Yeah.
But like I say, in the future, things may come to explain it a bit more. Or like okay, so quick question. So say the dimensional theory, things on different planes to us or different dimensions to us. If that was proven, let's say, and we now know that there are people or whatever living on different realms to us, they can interact with us, would that still be paranormal? Or would it just be, oh, it's just John in the fourth dimension talking to me? Like, would we still see it as paranormal? Would it just be kind of accepted that that's just a part of life?
That's a good question. I think it would still remain paranormal, because or would it? I think it would, because you think for millennia it's not something that's ever been addressed, proven, scientifically studied. But for them to come out tomorrow and say, well, actually, UFOs are real, because everybody's seeing them all the time now. But also, John on dimension 4, or on the fourth dimension, we can communicate clearly with him now, and there is these different rounds. I think it'd still be paranormal because how do you get your head around that? I think people would struggle to get their head around a spacecraft. I say spacecraft, but a UFO as being normal. When will that ever be normal? They've come out and said they're real. People are still like, "What the hell? That's not real." I think it would open more questions than it would answer if you come out, or the government or whoever came out, science, come out and say that there are other dimensions and we communicate freely with them now, and they communicate with us, and all these ghostly paranormal things you've been experiencing are actually just that veil of the dimensions briefly overlapping. What do you think?
Yeah, I think pretty much the same. It'd be hard for people to accept it initially. Maybe only when, I don't know, 100 years, when we had a few generations that have only known that.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the internet. We're now a couple of two generations into kind of having the internet and stuff now.
Yeah.
Whereas like my generation, probably the last generation that grew up without the internet and then the internet.
Yeah.
Whereas today's kids can't even explain to them what it was like before the internet and stuff.
No.
It's like, so it's just normal to them. Whereas in older generations, like, I don't understand smartphones, or how can I see my bank on my phone? That doesn't make sense. How does that work? Whereas kids are now used to, if it's not on the phone, it's like, what? Why is it not on my phone? Like, yeah. So I guess it'd take a while for it to come ingrained into society.
We had a similar conversation about UAPs as well, didn't we? And like disclosure, and the fact that it'll be a generational thing, that you'll get to a point where kids nowadays won't know a time without UFOs being mainstream or real. So it removes all that. Because it's funny, I was talking earlier and I saw this meme, and it was a school teacher, a university professor, sorry, and a student had emailed him to ask if he could use some quotes from the late 1900s for his dissertation. He said, the late 1900s, 1994. It's just like, it puts it into perspective that they see even the late 1900s was only like 20 odd years ago. And that's it's like us talking about the 1800s. It's like, it seems like hundreds of years ago.
That's mad. And
I just think it's that mindset, the generational thing. Like you said, how do you explain to kids nowadays what it was like without the internet? You had to go to a library to find out information that was already out of date by the time it was put in the library. It's just
and also, you also got to think about, because humans can't help but segregate and put people into groups, and you think, like, say, District 9 type situation.
Oh God, yeah.
Where like people know that there's aliens and stuff like that, but they still segregate and treat them differently, treat them as lower class. Would the similar thing happen with ghosts, or whatever you want to call them, where it's like, oh, they're like, how would that happen? Where we've accepted them, we accept that there's, say it is spirits, whatever explains how they exist, but are they going to be seen as a lower form of human, or treated differently just because they're not them, type thing? Are we still going to see that, as humans always do, have to judge and kind of treat people differently for just because they're different?
Yeah. So, it's an interesting. Cool, we are going deep tonight, aren't we?
This is just the first assumption as well.
Yeah, social integration of non-human intelligence, and wow. But then, interesting, you said we haven't got like the UFO thing for ghosts, but we kind of have, because UAP means unidentified anomalous phenomena, and that is technically what a ghost is. It's an unidentified anomalous phenomena, really.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess
it's a stretch.
I guess it's not really used in that way, but no reason why. Still, the description still fits, I guess, is what you're saying.
To a certain extent, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so next assumption. This is going to be a killer for people. Paranormal equipment detects ghosts. So we have that assumption that we use EMF meters, spirit boxes, REM pods, and devices that we're told supposedly interact with supernatural entities, but none of them are actually designed for ghost detection. No piece of equipment that is out there has actually been designed for ghost detection because science doesn't do it.
Yeah,
We're just all guessing.
yeah, we don't know what it is, so we can't measure for it basically, because
Yeah.
we don't have a set standard.
Yeah.
Which is the problem with UFOs and like say with ghosts. There's nothing in science, in fact, that we can have that base measurement of to be able to measure it and say this isn't normal.
Yeah.
Like I said, and obviously, I mean, I have a lot of equipment. You've got a lot of equipment. We
Yeah.
all use it. We all enjoy using it.
Yeah.
And I think that also plays into the confirmation bias.
100%.
I'm asking for an EMF meter to change colour. So that change of colour, I'm going to see that as a ghost reacting to it, rather than it's just the Wi-Fi signal just passed through the wall a little bit stronger briefly, or something like that. Because again, we want it to be like an intelligent response. Well, you think about that, how would a ghost know how to? Like, if I died and I was now a spirit, I wouldn't know how to make an EMF go stronger. You know what I mean? That's to hold my phone next to it. That's the only way I know how to do it. And I guess with other devices like REM pods and stuff, I mean, especially like spirit boxes and like the phonetic calm and Alice boxes where it spits out words. I never really understood how they work, how it knows. You say it uses like the magnetic stuff and changes in the atmosphere to kind of convert that into a word, but how does it know what word it is to say? I've never really understood how it kind of works. But then when we're using them, and you see it a lot, so I watch a lot of paranormal investigation YouTubes and stuff and lives, and a word will come up, and they will try their damnedest to somehow link it. It's like 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon to like link this word to what they're talking about. Like it's like, come on, have a like. It just said like sausage. Like you asked you had any pets, and it said sausage. Oh, maybe it had a pet pig. Like stuff. It's like stuff like that. It's like they would try and link it any way they can to what they're talking about. Again, that confirmation bias. Playing into them. So I guess the kind of the assumption we're talking about is none of these are designed. Their original use isn't for ghost hunting. They can be packaged as that, but the equipment behind it is just put in a different box and then said to be a ghost detector. When it was used for finding wires in walls or measuring whatever it's measuring, they just put a different box in it and say it's ghost hunting equipment. So none of these actually work. Where does that kind of put ghost hunting? I guess
That's true. So, like one of the bias things here is the Texas sharpshooter fallacy. You take a random fluctuation, like you mentioned, the EMF spike, and retroactively assign a meaning to it. So you know that, like you mentioned, the Wi-Fi goes through the room. Weirdly, at the same time you've just asked a question, and bam, that's it. Regardless of what it is, like people don't always check to see what the EMF readings are in the room. There could be certain parts of the room where it's slightly higher, and you've just turned the K2 meter round to that point as you've asked a question. Boom.
Yeah.
So these devices pick up environmental noise, random radio chatter, electromagnetic interference. But there's no established reason why a ghost would manipulate these specific tools or why an entity would respond in English words through radio frequencies. We've used the Estes method and we've really had some good responses. We have.
Yeah.
Which goes against everything we're talking about right now. But it's a very good point. Is it only speaking in English to me because I'm in an English country where the natural language would be English? So, in theory, if I go to Spain with the same radio sweeping, I should get Spanish voices, which I probably would because the radio signals I'm getting are going to get Spanish radio. But why, if I was going somewhere where the Battle of Waterloo was and there was French there and English, I should get some kind of French reaction at some point, in theory. If there's a French spirit, I should be getting French words through, not just English.
And also, if, say, you're in an old Victorian building or something that's 200, 300, 400 years old, the words that come through wouldn't be English we speak today. It should be what you called Old English, different words and different ways of saying things. That you won't get something coming through saying, "Oh, Armadizzle, you seen his Riz," or something like that's not going to be what come through. It's going to be proper, like, in theory, it should be Old English words and phrases coming through, not modern day ones. If you believe you're interacting with the spirit of Queen Elizabeth I from 17 whatever, then it would be different English to what we're used to. So we should be seeing them words.
However, your confirmation bias, at that point, you go, well, if this spirit has been in this house for several hundred years and watching everything that's going on over the couple of hundred years, it's developed its language. Could be.
No,
could be.
That's a good point. It's like the TV show Ghosts. Yeah, you watched that on BBC. Like, obviously got the caveman one, it is really good actually. Got a different time zone ghosts that live in this building.
They're the horrible history guys, aren't they? The ones that do horrible histories as well. Are they part of?
Well, I don't know.
Because there's a serious horrible history. I'm sure some of the character, like some of the people, the actors, are from horrible histories that do these characters. Yeah. Sorry, I digress.
Well, one of them's like the caveman who was on the land like thousands of years ago, but he's learned more, be able to speak a bit more normally just from being around the other ghosts and people that have lived in the building. It's really good to see. Actually, it's really fun.
And it kind of makes sense. Why wouldn't they learn the language?
Got nothing else to do, have they?
Exactly. And over the years, they'll develop like all the mod. Like, have you ever seen the film Highlander from like the 80s or whatever? And they're immortal, but they dress in the clothes of the time that they're currently in. So why wouldn't their language will have developed as well? So why wouldn't that be the case for a spirit? Don't know. So yeah, but going back to the paranormal equipment, like you mentioned, these are all bits of equipment that have been developed for other reasons. Like a REM pod is essentially a theramine, one of the old devices, like the proximity musical device. And you only have to, I think the original Doctor Who theme tune was done on a theramine. They're quite expensive piece of equipment, but essentially the REM pod is a similar type device to that. But I think some of it, again, is just trying different bits of equipment. Like, you've got laser tripwires are a big thing now, for example, and they're infrared. But who's to say that a spirit will activate it at that wavelength? Maybe they're at the other end of the scale, which is UV, and they're walking through this tripwire and it's not going off because the frequency that the spirit's at is more of a UV one. So it's never going to set it off. So it's walking through going, why can't you guys detect me? Because you're here trying to detect me in this, wherever you are. Some of the equipment is just too full spectrum camera captures ultraviolet through infrared. So you'll capture anomalies across the whole range, whereas like an infrared tripwire is only going to get that small frequency of infrared, and this spirit might be talking about UV, kicking it, going fucking go off, and it's never going to go off. So I think, like we've mentioned before, that if you can capture something on camera, back it up with like a voice recording or a digital voice and something else, the more pieces of evidence you're getting across different devices, I think that's what gets rid of the confirmation bias, because you're not reaching for something that's potentially not even there. And you're actually proving that across different wavelengths, piece of equipment, different styles of equipment, that you're not limiting yourself to this EMF where the Wi-Fi is just spiked ever so slightly at the same point you ask a question, is there anyone in the room? So I think paranormal equipment has definitely got its place, and we all love using them. But I think they have to be like a broad range of paranormal equipment. You can't just solely rely on a voice recorder. You can't solely rely on a REM pod or whatever. You have to have a full suite or full arsenal of tools.
Yeah, definitely. And I think like some of them are more popular than others because to get a lot of reaction from, like EMF meters tend to always go off. Cat balls seem to always go off. So they're going to use them because if you get something that rarely ever, like never ever goes off, you're not going to use it because you're not getting that kind of thing. Whereas the EMF, like you know, is going to go off at some point, most likely.
Yeah,
you're going to use it because you just want something to happen. Whether it's just for yourself, whether you're filming for YouTube or whatever, so you kind of need something to be going off. They're going to kind of deviate to them types of devices because they know they're going to get some sort of positive on there.
People watching it will want to see stuff going off. They don't want to see. It's interesting because I go on TikTok, some of the live streams on the podcast account. So I'm just sat there some mornings and I'll just go on live, see who's on there. Loads of paranormal teams on there live because it covers the whole world. And I always ask the same question: what piece of equipment gives you the best evidence? It's not for me to be. I'm not being difficult or anything like that. I genuinely, it's interesting to see what people get. And people are on REM pods, cat balls, all that kind of stuff, all the normal stuff that goes off. And then there was one group, I can't remember who it was, and they said, we've got this one at the back. It was like a Ghostbuster hearse or something like that, like as a weird REM pod thing. They said it's never gone off, but we bring it all the time, but it's never gone off. You go, that's cool. I'm glad you've got something that you know something will have to happen for it to go off, rather than like a cat ball or, like you say, an EMF's just spiking randomly. So it's interesting that there are people out there who don't just have that confirmation bias of, I'm going to get an EMF on because that always goes off and that'll give us great results.
And I kind of just want to caveat that we're not trying to debunk anything with this.
No,
absolutely
not.
We just kind of think the purpose of this is that we're offering like alternative view, kind of just hopefully making people think a little bit more about what they're doing, what they're using, how their mindset is. Like you say, that triangulation is what you're looking for. It's the personal experience backed up by something on camera or the voice recorder or the EMF meter going off at the same time as a shadow figure you caught on a camera. Things like that. It's just being a bit more critical thinking, I guess, and just kind of looking at different views of things, because it can be easy to kind of get sucked into the confirmation bias world of everyone around just saying how amazing that is and stuff. It's quite easy to get sucked into it, and it's similar to when he's watching videos on Facebook or whatever, and it's like a crowd chanting or something being said, and every time you hear it, it changes the words. So whatever words you're looking at, that's what you hear. Yeah. And you see that on paranormal TV shows where they put the word in on the screen that you want them to hear, whereas it could sound like 10 other words, but it suits the narrative better that you hear that word. So they put that word on the footage to make you hear that word. Again, and that's just more confirmation bias to kind of be aware of with it.
And and absolutely, like my partner, she's in a paranormal team. So we talk paranormal literally all the time, but we have the conversations around what is like confirmation bias, what could be making this EMF go off. We have those conversations between ourselves, and we have quite in-depth conversations when we're traveling around the UK to different places where we do have that. So we try and keep it real, as it were, without getting sucked in. And I see it on Facebook, and I see it on certain groups where somebody will post a picture that's clearly, I've done it with UFOs and everything, but there'll be a picture up, and people straight away, that must be a shadow figure. That's definitely paranormal. I saw one, it was weird, and it was, you'll like this one. It's not paranormal, it's a UAP one, but it was literally like a Star Wars destroyer flying across the sky, flanked by some jets. And people are going, that's exactly what I saw, blah, blah, blah. All this kind of stuff, all the comments, hundreds of comments saying it's this, it's like TR3B or whatever. It's definitely military. And then I went back, and if you look at the bottom of the caption, it says this was digitally created by AI. So people are so into it that they're blinded. We've even done it with photographs, like the long exposure photographs of planes. We've done it ourselves to prove a point, and we still get called out that we're like government shills. People saying, "Well, no, it's definitely a UFO," and it's like, it's not, because I took the photo myself. It's not. So
Yeah.
it's healthy to have a bit of skepticism and stepping back, which is hopefully what this episode will do, is that people will be able to just look at it slightly differently and go, actually, yeah, I do think that every time that EMF goes off, that it's something paranormal. Whereas the light in the room next door went on at the same time, weirdly. Somebody walked and pressed the light switch and the EMF went off, for example. Oh, okay, yeah, maybe it just might allow people to, like you mentioned, quickly think about stuff and try and capture different devices going off at the same time. Like we've had the Phoneticom, me and Sarah, go off, two of them next to each other go off at the same time. So something's happening in the environment for those to go off at the same time. And some of them, we were in the cemetery and it came up with the same words on both devices a couple of times on the trot, and it's never done that before. It said my name on that Phoneticom. It come out with my name and the name of a song after we specifically asked it for a song. Just very weird. And then it can't be confirmation bias at that point, because like we've also said on previous podcast episodes, when does a coincidence stop being a coincidence?
Yeah.
So, and if you're getting evidence on multiple different devices at the same time for the same interaction, that's when it stops becoming coincidence. And that's when it starts becoming a bit more real.
Definitely.
So to echo what you said, this isn't us debunking or whatever you want to call it, because we're in this. And
we use all these devices.
We do. And anybody who listens to the podcast will know that we're not here to poo-poo the paranormal. That's not what we're doing. It's just trying to take a different viewpoint.
Yeah.
So the next assumption is that personal experiences are reliable evidence. Me, you have had first-hand encounters. We've had strange noises, feelings being watched. Some people have even had full-body apparitions. But human perception is deeply flawed. I think we've covered it before. Personal, like eyewitness testimony is some of the worst evidence you can use, because your brain is just remembering the last time you thought of it. It's not necessarily the time it happened. So pareidolia and the illusion of agency. Your brain is wired to find patterns and intentionness in randomness, leading you to perceive ghosts where none exist. So a great example of this is the SLS camera thing.
God.
It is programmed to find the pattern of a human in the environment because it was set up as an Xbox Connect,
Yeah.
which allowed you to control a computer game based on your movement of your arms. So it looks for human shapes. So on the wall, there might be a chair, which is a weird position and it looks like a human. It will put a fucking human there. And that's what your brain does. You always look to see Jesus Christ in a bit of toast, Elvis in an apple. And as soon as you say, "Can you see Elvis in the apple?" you go, "Well, actually, I fucking can, you know." Jesus on a bit of toast. There's always news reports. This crisp looks like the head of Elvis because your brain wants to create a pattern and see and recognize patterns.
And your brain also fills in gaps without you knowing. Like, example, when every single person has that blind spot in their eye,
Mm-hmm.
but your brain fills it in with what's around it, and that's happening constantly to us. The brain's filling in the gaps that you can't see, and it will fill the gap in with what it thinks is there. So what's surrounding it will make it the same because it thinks that's what that would look like. So if there's gaps in or something it's seeing that it can't quite understand, it could be filling in the gaps, but it's filling in the gaps incorrectly. It's going to make you see something that's not there.
Yeah.
In terms of like with pareidolia, your brain's it's a human kind of nature to look for a face, to look for something familiar. So you automatically kind of seek out faces in bushes and stuff, but that would be Bigfoot according to the Bigfoot hunters and Bigfoot
Mm-hmm.
believers. And it's literally just bushes and leaves, just in that way. And like I say, when someone says something's that, you're more likely to believe it. Like there's those pictures where it's like a dog, but I think the one of the dog, it kind of looks like a pig a little bit with the face. It's just the way the
I
dog's
know
head
some.
is twisted.
Yeah.
And it's like, it just looks so weird. And it's like your brain's trying to figure out what it's seeing. But when you actually sort of realize what it's looking at, it kind of flips in your brain. And now you can't see what it originally looked like. You can only see what it now, you know what it is. It's
Mm-hmm.
kind of lets you see it, what it
Yeah.
really is, not what you thought it was.
Yeah.
And there's also one where it's like an optical illusion one with like loads of trays, and it's like the trays are upside down until you
Yeah.
find the one that's not, and then all the trays flip. It's such a weird thing, but it's a good
Yeah.
kind of example of how the brain works, and doesn't
Yeah.
always show you what you think you're actually seeing.
Another one that people might have seen is an object spinning round, like with an arm out, and if you concentrate on it, you can get it to spin the other way.
Mm.
And it's just the way your brain is perceiving things, and it's so easy that your brain can be tricked. You only have to watch like Darren Brown, people like that, and they just hoodwink people to their faces, and the people don't even know it's happening. So who's to say that it's just your brain? And I mean,
Especially like in a dark room, might be 2 o'clock in the morning. You might be getting a bit tired.
Mhm.
So maybe things get heightened at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, just because your brain's more tired. So
Yeah.
it's not fully functioning properly. So,
Mm.
or the witching hour things are more happening at this time,
Yeah.
around 3 o'clock, the witching hour. But then I always think, how does it know it's 3 o'clock? If the clocks
Mhm.
go back, what if it's actually like? How does the spirit know the clocks have gone back, or what part of the world they're in? Did they know that what time zone they're in to know it's 3 o'clock in the morning for this witching hour? So that's kind of a bit of a gone off a
Yeah.
tangent a little bit, but I kind of never understood that kind of
Yeah.
3 o'clock thing. Because how do they
Yeah.
know what time it is to be three
With
o'clock in the
drinking, it's
morning?
3 o'clock somewhere, Ash. But I know what you mean, and it just shows you that the brain can be easily tricked, not necessarily on purpose, but just due to the conditions that your brain is seeing stuff. Like you mentioned about the brain filling in parts that you can't physically see. You see your
Knows.
nose, and your brain actively stops you seeing it.
Yeah, unless you think about it.
Unless, yeah, as soon as you start to think about it, you start seeing it again. But that's another thing that's always there. You always see it, but you never can have it in your vision. It's weird. So,
It's
so
like
yeah,
like talking about, because obviously we're talking about personal experience here, saying our personal experience is reliable evidence. I've kind of said it a lot of times where, in terms of ghosts, particularly, where I had my experience, that kind of changed my whole viewpoint on it. And I can never prove what happened to me, but that's my personal evidence. That's my evidence. That's how I know. So that's enough for me. So I know that that happened to me. But did it happen to me? Have I A, remembered differently? Have I B, I was in a pub. Oh, I don't really drink, so I was driving, but I was playing poker. Maybe my brain was focused on the poker, and it wasn't. I've seen something. Maybe the door swung open, but then closed again, and nobody came into the room. But my brain's just assumed
yeah,
that that's the natural thing to happen. So I've just filled in the gaps by making someone walk in the room, but it's all in my head. Could be. I mean, I don't think that that's what's happened. I do believe my experience, but I, like I, said, I can never prove that to anyone.
yeah. There's loads of like. There's a classic video about a gorilla. I don't know if you've seen that. And you watch this video,
Oh,
and
playing like basketball.
yeah, and there's like a gorilla. It appears, but your brain just doesn't see it because you're too focused on everything else.
Yeah, it's just like you think. Yeah, it's like count how many times the ball gets passed or something between the basketball players.
Yeah,
Then halfway through, there's like a gorilla, but you don't notice the gorilla dancing on the screen because you're watching
yeah,
the ball.
yeah. It's mad. So it's an interesting take on the fact that what you think has happened may not have actually happened, which opens up a whole new thing. And maybe your mind is being tricked by the spirits, maybe.
Mm.
So, okay. One of the final assumptions then is that the paranormal is beyond science. So, a common argument is that ghosts operate outside known physics, which is why they elude direct scientific scrutiny. But that's just an unfalsifiable claim, one used to justify the lack of hard evidence. So you claim ghosts are real, but exempt them from the rigorous testing applied to any other scientific phenomena. Like, it doesn't happen all the time. For example, you could go to a haunted location and it might not happen every time.
Mm.
So you go, well, the lack of evidence doesn't suggest that there is no ghost. It's just that it's not that active today.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of what we spoke about a bit earlier around. It's not measurable, so it does kind of operate outside science because
Yeah.
we can't measure it properly. What's the saying? It's lack of evidence isn't evidence of lack. What is it? What's the full?
I know what you
Lack
mean.
of evidence.
Yeah,
It's absence. Absence of evidence isn't evidence of absence.
correct.
Just because
Yeah,
we can't prove it's there doesn't mean it isn't.
correct.
It's like gravity. We like, yeah, you could drop an apple and say that proves gravity, but is it like you can't? Is gravity? Am I right with saying like you can't really prove
I
gravity?
think so.
Like there's a
This is where our
force. I don't
scientific
know.
knowledge goes out the window.
Maybe I'm off it with that. I don't know. That might be not a good example. But
But
yeah,
I know what I mean. Yeah,
just because
yeah.
there's no evidence doesn't mean that isn't evidence to say that it doesn't exist.
And if you think about it, years ago, the whole UFO thing, I know we'll come on to that in another episode, but now we're X amount of years online and they can prove it. Like they had Ryan Graves, they upgraded the sensors on the craft, and then all of a sudden they started seeing this aerial phenomena. Just because they couldn't prove it before didn't mean it wasn't there, as this new technology proved. So if something actually interacts with the physical world, like moving an object, making sounds, altering temperatures, it should be measurable under controlled conditions. The fact that paranormal phenomena don't behave consistently suggests that they may be cognitive illusions rather than real forces. So the amazing Randy, for example, put up a bet that he would give £1 million to anybody who could prove a paranormal. And he's never had to pay out any money.
Hmm.
because nobody under scientific conditions could prove stuff was happening. But like you say, lack of proof doesn't mean that it's not happening. It just means that we've not been able to measure it in a way that we can understand, I suppose.
And I guess we on the flip side of that is so that's kind of saying that, like you say, you go to a location and things happen. So because it doesn't happen every time, that means it's like an illusion or something that we're taking to be paranormal. But if it is like an actual, let's say it's an actual ghost of a dead person that's walking around, that's moving things, that's interacting with people, they're not going to do that every time. They might go to a different house that night. They might haunt different locations. They might be in bed. They might still sleep. While they're there, like, we don't know what these things are or what they do or how they operate. So, say that like, oh, one thing happened this night, then we've been 10 more times and nothing's happened since. Whereas if say a chair moves, and then that same chair moves every single night at the same time, would that be proof of a ghost, or would it be a bit more? How, like, why would they just keep doing the same thing over and over? Would they not move different things or do it at different times? Or so that's kind of saying that for science, they need to be able to measure it. So saying 7 o'clock every night, the chair is going to move 4 inches across the floor. Okay, let's do it again. Oh, it's happened again. They're able to measure it. They're able to sort of think, and then when it doesn't happen or it moves an inch further the time after, whatever, that's kind of measuring it. But if it is a spirit that's doing these things, it is ghosts or whatever, would they just do the same thing over and over? And is that the reason why we can't ever measure it? Because it's humans are unpredictable. So that's why you can't measure it.
Yeah. I think, why would it do the same thing every day? But then you look at Hastalan lights, strange phenomena that does happen regularly, and science has been measuring it, but still gets no explanation.
Yeah, good
They're
point.
just like Earth lights. We'll just cover it as Earth lights. We don't know what it is. It's this weird phenomenon that's happening for decades. We can measure it. We know everything about it, but we don't know what it is. So, and maybe the spirits don't see us. They interact with everything here, and then move something, but they don't even know they have no awareness that we're there. So why would they be there at certain times when we're in the room? Because they might not even know we're there. And I think that a lack of absence of proof is not proof of absence. Exactly. I think that sums it up completely. It really does.
Yeah.
So yeah, very strange, very strange. Okay, so final thought on this then, as we wrap this up. What if you're just wrong? So you might spend your life chasing ghosts, but what if in the end there's absolutely nothing there? No spirits, no afterlife, and it's just psychology, physics, and human imagination. Here's a question for you then, Ash. Would that change anything for you? Would you be willing to accept a fully naturalistic worldview if the evidence pointed that there was nothing? We die, that's it.
No, because it's the chase. It's the that's why we do it. Like, it's the journey. It's not the destination. I've been asked this question with UFOs. Like, if disclosure was proven, like, how would that change what you do? It's like, it wouldn't change what I do. I'd be a bit more smug about what I do, but it wouldn't change what I do. And I think it would kind of make it a bit more conspiratorial, maybe. We've been like, but how would they able to prove that there's nothing else? That's like saying, when you sort of talk about the big, oh my god, we're going physics here, with the Big Bang Theory. Again, still just a theory. But what's beyond that? And it's like, there's nothing beyond that. Or there's nothing outside the universe, but the universe is expanding. And what's it expanding into? There must be something outside of it for it to expand into it. But you're saying that there's nothing outside the universe, so how can it expand? it's like kind of not accepting the viewpoint because the viewpoints don't kind of match up to it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you even answered that question.
No, I think you have. I think you have.
What
It's
about
like
you?
the Big Bang. The Big Bang. What happened before the Big Bang? So it must have been something for it to be nothing. To be nothing, then something instantly. That's I don't get my head around. I don't get it. But I think if somebody said to me, "There's absolutely nothing after you die. There's no such thing as spirits. It's all in your mind, or it's just the environment interacting and creating certain conditions." I think I would still want to know that why is it that it's interacting with some kind of weird intelligence. So to say there's nothing, I wouldn't believe it because nobody's been dead and come back to life and said, "Well, there's definitely nothing there."
No.
I don't know. It's do you know what I mean? Because people who claim to have died on the operating table in the theatre, and then come back to life after they've been resuscitated, and they claim that they've seen what's next. Nobody's come back and said, "There's nothing there." So I don't know. Very good, big food for thought. This episode, really.
Yeah, no, it's been good. And like I said at the start, we'd love to hear the listeners' thoughts. Let us know on social media or TikTok, or you have any own kind of assumptions that we could have a look at.
Yeah,
we do that on a TikTok or something. But yeah, no, it's been good. Definitely made me think a bit more.
Yeah.
It's kind of gone off topic a couple of times, I think. But I think most of stuff probably don't make sense at all. I think probably gone off on some that's not relevant.
But no, and just to reiterate what you've said a couple of times, this isn't us bashing the paranormal in the slightest. We're invested in this, and the podcast for the last 4.5 years has been around the paranormal and UAP and cryptids. So this is far from our normal kind of conversation. But I think it is important to have some kind of like step back every now and again and go, well, actually, what is this? What is there a different way that we should be thinking about the paranormal? Is it confirmation bias? If we spend our time talking to people in the paranormal, do we not just all we get in this little bubble and we don't see the wood for the trees, basically?
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, no, it's been fascinating.
And I guess the last question to tie off with to the listeners: would you be willing to accept like a fully naturalistic worldview if the evidence pointed there? Let us know. We'd love to know your thoughts.
Thanks for listening to Pursuit of the Paranormal, title music created by Steve Yarwood and Ambiinfinity. If you like the show, please follow us on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, X, and Instagram. And if you really like the show, please rate and review the show wherever you are listening. It really does help. See you next time, and until then, stay weird.